Okay, so the comment on the last video was that you had trouble picking a main. Picking a main is a big, big topic. Picking what to main, what is the best class, what is the best job in Final Fantasy XIV, in World of Warcraft, what is the best job you can pick. I play a tank druid in World of Warcraft, and I play a tank warrior in Final Fantasy as my mains. I naturally gravitate to other tanks very well because the overlap. But let me talk about kind of how I got to that path. And how the comment also kind of centered on like, I want to try a lot of things, and I find that I'm getting kind of, it sounded like you're getting spread too thin. You're trying to touch everything, and that ends up meaning like, how do I make one my main? So not even necessarily what is the best one to main, but how do I then go about making sure that I'm getting that? And the first thing I would do is realize that when you talk about this, I'm going to talk about this from a WoW perspective because there are more specs than there are more specs, more ways to play in WoW than there are jobs in 14. In 14, classes at level 30 get jobs. Every class in the game is one class to one job with the exception of one of them that results in two. So you only have so many jobs in game, and each job is assigned a role. So warriors are always a tank, paladins are always a tank, white mages are always a healer, and so on. So like it's very, very fixed, as opposed to in World of Warcraft, you have a number of classes and each class has a spec. But in the current expansion, it still somewhat pays to main one spec, not one class. And so you pick a class and you pick it for its versatility. Druid, for example, can be a tank or a healer or a melee DPS or a ranged DPS, and you still kind of end up picking one because of the way the legendaries work, because you have to kind of pick your covenant. There's all these choices that you have to make where even if the gearing works itself out for your level of play, you end up kind of forcing yourself into one avenue of play, and it moderately punishes you for wanting to change that at a later date. So the first thing you want to do if you're having trouble maining it and you know you have one, but you're just having trouble, is set some goals. What do you want to do? What level of content do you want to get to? Once again, I'm going to focus more on World of Warcraft here because Final Fantasy has less levels. They have basically normal, savage, extreme, occasionally ultimate, and that's it. And in 4-man content, their smaller party content, it's really just normal. In World of Warcraft, we have everything from LFR raids, kind of story mode and normal dungeons, up to heroic dungeons and normal raids, up to mythic plus and mythic. And so like we have a lot of layers, and that scales up to being very, very hard. It's just a lot to kind of decide how far do you want to make it, how much time do you want to put in, do you want to do that every patch, do you just want to do that for one patch cycle, because the catch-up mechanics in these games do allow for you to take a break from one content cycle and kind of gear back up. Obviously staying on top of the gear curve, staying on top of having those best in slot items in every single slot on your character is easier to kind of play whack-a-mole with it, but total time invested, it adds up very quickly. So you have to decide, what are my objectives? Are they PvP based? Are they PvE based? And then break down, what do I need to be doing day over day, week over week on that character to get there? How many dailies do I need to be doing? What kind of dungeons do I need to be running? You know, what reps do I need to be farming? And then lay out a path that overlaps as many of those things as possible, right? I want to get my weekly vault open. I want to get better at Mythic Plus. Well, be sure you get your Mythic Plus act set of the vault, right? I want to get some reps and things like that. Okay, and I need to have some dailies for anima. We'll try to pick anima quests within things that get that rep. And definitely when you have your daily calling to go do some dailies, if you're not going to do those every day, definitely do them on the day that it benefits, either giving you lots of anima or giving you lots of rep. Ideally both. So pick the level you want to play. This game is way bigger than you could possibly get to on an everyday basis as a casual gamer if you split your time anywhere at all, whether that be a hobby or another game. It's massive, and that's true of just about every MMO. These sandboxes, they're giant, giant theme parks. You can't ride all the rides every time unless you are going to focus on solely going there. So if you do anything else with your time, you will fall behind on something. So when picking a main, just plan on kind of lay out what you want to achieve and then achieve that and then move to alts. Now, when picking what order to do things in, first of all, Pick a role that binds well with your level of play. So if you have a group you play with, what does that group need? Are you guys running in raids? Are you running in dungeons? What fits well with what you guys need? Second of all, what fits well with your solo style of play? I love being a tank or a healer because I go into queues really fast because they're always in need and I don't mind playing them. So if it's all the same to me, I'd rather have the shorter wait time than the DPS. And then after that, keep in mind all three of these. It's not really 1, 2, 3. They all kind of work at the same time. You need to plan on which one you're comfortable with. That last one I mentioned last because it's something I think you can overcome. If the other two really say pick tank, pick tank, pick tank, both of these games are absolutely passable if you just want to get to a casual level. If you just want to be able to clear heroic dungeons, maybe low level mythics with plenty of gear. You want to clear all but like Savage Extreme or Savage Extreme once you have all of your weekly Eden drops. Now you want to go do Savage with people that have full 5-10 sets and, you know, their relic weapon. Like if you just want to go into one of these games with a fully kitted out character with everything you can get except that highest difficulty of content, and then you want to grind that till the next patch and you don't care if you get it down, you can do this. I promise you can. You can tank, you can heal, especially if you're with people that are there and they have the same mindset. You're all trying to learn, you're all trying to improve, you all have the same expectations of the likelihood of clearing, and you're all okay learning from everybody's mistakes. When one person dies and wipes the raid because they drag a bomb in there, that doesn't mean that up till then everybody played perfectly. You can all learn from that pull, you can all get better. So I think in general, you should just pick a job that fits well with what you're expecting from the game as a solo and multiplayer, and then learn that job. It doesn't matter if that's DPS, tank, or healer, but if one of those is absolutely off limits to you, then scratch that. Just toss that out. So once you've picked that, now look at what's available. Like I said, in World of Warcraft, you have many available, and if you think you may want to change which role, tank, healer, or DPS, keep that in mind as you choose, because it's going to be easier to change on a class you already have leveled and have gear for than on a different one. In 14, it's a fresh role either way, so you're kind of stuck. As a matter of fact, in 14, it's easier to level within a role because they share gear. And so like my warrior having all of my gear, when my Dark Knight hits cap, which it will sometime in the next couple weeks, I'll immediately have all of my gear with the exception of my weapon, and I can go grind that weapon. I can go get a relic weapon in a couple of hours, and then that's done. And now my Dark Knight's caught up, right? I'm in a really good spot. Almost instantly. So it's kind of the same way in WoW if you're picking a different role but on the class that you already have leveled. The gear is going to happen very, very quickly. If you need to change covenants or something like that, or you need to grind a new legendary, that's where you're going to start to run into a little bit of resistance. So if you're just playing this casually, it's really just, and I literally would just make a list. I would just make a list of everything you want to achieve before the end of Shadowlands, before the end of Stormblood, and I would say, like, how do I get there? And then just work on that. The game has incredibly efficient methods for helping new players catch up with existing players, but there's too many of them because there's too many ways to play. And so what you need to do is you need to decide which of those do you need to be engaging in. And if you don't like one, if it's not fun, just know there's another one. There's a second best way to get experience, a third best way to get experience that are still great ways. And so pick what you want from the game and then just go after that. So I want to learn Dark Knight right now. I want to learn how it works in group content. Tanks get really fast queues. The best way to learn how to play in group content is to do group content. So every day I'm doing all my roulettes. But that doesn't mean I couldn't be doing Deep Dungeon. That doesn't mean I couldn't be doing Beast Tribe dailies. That doesn't mean I couldn't be doing hunts. On World of Warcraft, I'm doing the same thing. I want to learn Death Knight. Death Knight gets fast queues. I want to learn how to tank in dungeons. So I'm tanking in dungeons. But the same dungeons over and over gets kind of boring. So I'm changing timelines with Chromie so that I can do that. But if I didn't want to do it that way, I could go level through pet battles, I could level through gathering, I could level through questing in any expansion of my choosing. I could go level in PvP. There are so many ways that I could level. Everything you do grants experience, just about. It's an immense world of experience. I can pick how I want to do it. I could literally go farm up gold on my crafters, turn my gold into WoW tokens, spend those WoW tokens on a level boost, and then level my Dark Knight all at once through a level boost to 50. I could just boost it straight up. I could do that. I could. There's a lot of ways to get there. And so I think with that kind of in mind, it becomes a question of what do you want from the game, and then just push out the noise. There's a lot of people that will tell you the most efficient way in amount of hours played. There's a most efficient way in number of calendar days played. Those are not the same. Dailies, for example, might be really efficient experience, but you can only do them once per day. So the shortest number of hours is to do that daily every time it resets, but know that that might take 100 calendar days or 50 calendar days to hit a particular objective. It's not that many hours, but it's going to take a lot of days. To do it in less days, you may have to be less efficient and you spend more total hours. There may be something that's considered the most fun or the most effective at learning or the simplest or the earns you the most in-game currency while you do it, or earns you the most in-game reputations with various beast tribes or factions or whatever, or unlocks the most cosmetics. There may be a lot of different ways. Has the most achievements tied to it is just someone's preference. And listening to all those and going out there and reading and watching guides is a great way to be aware of all the doors that are available from people much more experienced than yourself in areas of the game that maybe you haven't touched, or you haven't touched in a long time, or you haven't touched to the same degree that they are totally and deeply intrinsically aware of how it works. Once you're aware of what they know, and once they've shared that with you through blog posts, videos, streams, whatever, then you can go and say, okay, now that I know that door is there, do I want to go through it? Because there's too many doors for us to go through all of them. There's too many ways to level. I would literally run out of jobs and classes to level if I did one of each way to level. There's too many. And I could try the fastest ones and the most enjoyable ones and the most thorough ones and whatever. And I would run out. Even in WoW, where there's 50 ways. Do I speed level? Do I try to learn the story? Do I level through each expansion? Do I level through dungeons? Do I level through pet battling? Do I level through professions, mining and herbing? It doesn't matter. I could level through fishing, I think you grants experience. So you can do just about anything. And it will eventually level you. And so I think even in a game where you would have 50 alts as opposed to in 14 where you're going to have, what are there, like 17 jobs or something? I don't know. It's not 50. And you know, there's so many specs across WoW and all of that. There are reasons to level more characters in WoW than there are in 14. I think it's probably less time though, because I think speedrunners, if you're trying to hyper efficient it, I think speedrunners have gotten the getting to level 50 portion. If you start with an allied race, so you start at level 10, you get to level 50. I think they've gotten that down sub 4 hours. And I don't remember whether or not that required the anniversary experience. And then they're getting 50 to 60. I heard someone say they were sub 3. I haven't watched a sub 3 hour clear. But that means in theory you could be looking at easily less than a day's worth of work per class. So you could blast through them really quick. In 14, I think starting as a brand new player, just getting through ARR is like 19 hours. So your first one is very slow. After that, there's a ton of fast leveling methods through Deep Dungeon and all of that really do kind of cheese them up to the top hyperspeed. I know when you're leveling Black Mage, you learn a lot of those methods where you tag something in a higher level, just blast it down and you just get crazy experience. So there's a ton of farms out there. When you start kind of doing the tag and switching to your own, some of them kind of break TOS. There are also some that break TOS in WoW, but there are plenty of fast ones that don't break TOS. So the point is not how you level or what jobs are good or what jobs it's about making sure that you know what you want to get from the game. Just be aware that if you go out and look at YouTube or Twitch or wherever, there's always somebody that's going to have more than you in something. Always. The games are too big. There's somebody who has every achievement in WoW. There's still stuff they don't have. You've got Kuhn over there streaming, collecting all the things. There's still stuff he doesn't have. In 14, you go look at a streamer like Mr. Happy. There's all this stuff that they have that you just don't. And yet there's things that Mr. Happy hasn't done because it's not his thing. And so like the game is too big for somebody to have touched all of it. And that's assuming that you only play that one game. If you start to branch out to multiple games, there's going to be people who main that game and it's a secondary game for you or something you're new to or something you're returning to. They're going to be way ahead of you. Don't worry about catching all of the people. Take note of all the experiences that are being had that you want. make a list and then decide what the fastest path to that list is. Do your main first, because typically these games are very good about letting you take things that you've done on your main, currencies and stuff like that, and using them to boost alts, using them to make that process easier. So get your main up, do your current content first while it's most relevant, while the wait times are the shortest. Do all of that first each week, and then once you're done with that, start to set goals for your alts. And that might require that you log into alts once a day to do daily cooldowns of some kind, whether that be a daily dungeon run or a daily cooldown on a profession or something like that. But just start working your way down your list. And I think people often underestimate what they can achieve when they just do small pieces for a consistently long period of time. Don't think about, oh my gosh, how am I going to get all this done? Write it all down and then say, okay, what would I need to do this week to do the most I could do this week? I'll get there in a year. So this week, I just want to clear, I just want to go clear my dailies 4 of the days. Okay. Go clear all your daily roulettes 4 of the days. You'll get a ton of experience, right? On WoW, I just want to make sure that I'm always doing my calling, that I'm doing at least 1 mythic run per week, that I'm doing my LFR per week, just to keep it the most casual level of gear. Okay, go do that. And then that's it, and be done. And then focus on casually kind of dipping into all that secondary content. And once you're main, and then you may quickly find that you're able to do more and more. So my recommendation when picking a main, when picking how to focus on a main, is to look at what your goals are, and then realize that only one job or class is really going to be the one that stands out for you. And it doesn't matter if that's the one that's top of meta. It doesn't matter. You know, a warrior tank is what works for me. And it doesn't matter that they're not in the world first. It doesn't matter. Because what I want isn't to be world first. And so I don't need to put that expectation for myself. I think we are in a world that's inundated with celebrity endorsements and all of that, where you have these experts telling you this is what works for them. And while they are the expert and I want to listen to their point of view, I would just remind you that you want to listen to their point of view in its entirety and listen to why that thing is what works for them, because you first of all want to make sure that they're not just being paid to say that. But second of all, you want to be sure that what they're expecting from it is what you're expecting from it, right? Somebody who plays a game 30, 40, 60, 80 hours a week may have a different set of expectations for you. So the thing that works for them, right? Oh, I like this job because it takes 200 hours to master. Okay, well, that's not something that I'm interested in, right? Because I don't want to spend 200 hours. I like this job because it's 0.1% more DPS. You know what? Honestly, I'm making more than 0.1 DPS in mistakes. So I'm not even at the top of what my jobs can do. Being that job isn't really the problem. I need to get better first. So I'll just play the job that's more fun. It doesn't matter. So just kind of go out there, gather up all that information. Keep in mind the point of view that they are speaking from, because it may be different than the point of view you're looking for, right? I find this job really fun with other people. You know what? I play mostly solo, or the other way around, right? I find this really good for solo content. Okay, well, that doesn't help me because I always play with other people. So like, just keep in mind how it relates to your point of view, and then pick the door that gets you closer to your goal each and every week. That's really it. That's how I pick a main. That's how I pick what to prioritize in games when I fall behind. It feels weird that I've been playing WoW since vanilla and I've been playing 14 since A Realm Reborn. And in both games, there are things that are just basic things. My Chocobo is not at max level. I don't really have that many jobs at max level. In 14, I don't have that many alt classes. I'm missing a ton of achievements. I'm not currently top of gear. You just aren't. The games are just too big. So don't worry about comparing yourself so much to other people, and don't worry about feeling like picking a main, there's a wrong answer. There's not. That's the beautiful thing about games. Pick what you want and just go after that, and take joy in what you're getting out of a game, because it's uniquely a journey for you, and it's something that we can all share the overlaps in what we're thrilled about, and just know that everybody's doing a little bit differently, and that's kind of what makes it awesome. So this was just a response to that kind of concept. I started to respond in a comment, and then I think I was like, I don't know how to say this in a comment, so I'll just put this post up and we'll do that instead. Guys, it is December I think when this goes live, it'll be the 29th. Just letting you guys know, I have a major announcement on January 1st. So be sure you guys hit subscribe and be sure you come hang out and stream. I'm streaming over at Work to Game with the number 2 over on Twitch Monday through Friday at 8 a.m. So 8 a.m. Central Time. Come on over, say hello. Thanks for watching. This was just me talking about gaming. Kinda.